بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، والصلاة والسلام على حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I can see you look like people who just came out of a battlefield, exhausted and completely drained. I thank you very much for making the time tonight to come and join us. And I know these are the last few nights. They're about, inshallah, at least a week until next week that we will go and see the last nights of Shahr Ramadan. But tonight we would like to continue our coverage of the verses that start with Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu. Tonight's verse from Surah At-Tahrim, verse number 6. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. In this verse, dear brothers and sisters, Allah Azza wa Jal says, O you who have faith, addressing the believers. The first word he says, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Qu meaning protect yourselves, save yourselves. So there is the message of protection, and then it should go to yourself first. Then wa ahlikum, and your families. Protect from what? From a fire whose fuel will be people and stones. This is a big deal. So the imagery has a reason. Allah Azza wa Jal uses these images for a reason. That there is something ready for those who are not protecting themselves and their families. So, question number one. This fire that is fueled by people and stones. Some say this is a bit of a harsh image that is projected by Allah the All-Merciful. Now we hear God the All-Merciful, All-Beneficent. Then this part of fire, punishment, how do you reconcile this? Allah Azza wa Jal, when it comes to the issue of punishing, and let's try to unveil this. When you and I punish, if you remember 2 nights ago when I was talking about Allah's knowledge is different than our knowledge. Allah's punishment is different than our punishment. When I want to punish someone, why do I want to punish them? They did something. So either I hope in punishing them they may learn, or because they got me mad, and I want to unveil and show my anger towards them. Because I need to fulfill a form of vengeance in my heart. Yeah, there's a revenge. I took it all out on them. So there is a need in both cases. One need is for me to fulfill my need, that I have something, I am short of something, that with punishing another person, I will be fulfilling that need. Or a third reason, I cannot show my anger, so I wait for a little bit. When I have control, I will show that anger and punish that person. When it comes to Allah Azza wa Jal, dear brothers and sisters, Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't need time, is not incapable. Allah Azza wa Jal does not have that revenge that we have. When we revenge, at one point I am not capable. When I became capable, I took out my anger. Allah Azza wa Jal is always able. So you ask, then why does Allah punish someone? On the Day of Judgment, when God punishes us, is it because in the hopes that we learn and change? Well, it's too late. You cannot change your behavior. You're done. You just see what happens. Is it because now He has the opportunity and I'm going to show you my anger? He always has the opportunity. God is always able. The punishment that we see in ourselves is because of the nature of the acts that we do. شو يعني? What does that mean? When someone eats food or drinks, for example, loves to drink pop, or loves to drink these drinks that have a lot of sweets in it, a lot of sugar, what's the outcome of drinking so much of it? What will happen to him or her? What's that? Diabetes. Is it that you're punishing yourself with diabetes? It's the nature of eating such food. Shwaya, give me your attention on this. Allah Azza wa Jal created the universe and everything in it. Each and every atom and particle has a reason, has a purpose. When God creates something, He creates its purpose with it. Whether it's a scorpion, whether it's a bird, whether it's a flower. Now, each and every being, as it stands alone, is good in itself. It's when we interact these creatures together, you have these conflicts. Fire in itself is useful. Why? Fire is good when I want to warm up, correct? Heat is useful when it provides good to me. But heat is painful when it's burning me. Right? So the same output, heat, can be good and can be bad. It's relative to the situation and everything involved. But in itself, as a creation of Allah Azza wa Jal, it's pure good. Because only good is coming from Allah Azza wa Jal. There is no evil that can be produced by Allah Azza wa Jal, because Allah Azza wa Jal is all good, so only goodness comes out of Him. A knife is a creation. This creation is molded through steel. That human being molded it, framed it in a certain way. This knife can be used to cut the meat and be served, and it could be used to inflict harm on someone. So the knife itself, is it good or is it evil? It depends. For example, let's assume a man and a woman, strangers. These strangers, if they were to engage in a physical relationship without any agreement, what are they doing? What are they doing? Haram. All it takes words between them two to make the same physical act halal, permissible. So this is an issue relative to what is being done by the parties involved, and the action that is resulted therefore can be good or evil. Having said that, Allah says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم. Protect yourselves. What is it that he wants us to protect ourselves from? We have so many choices in life. Allah is telling us that we need to protect ourselves, to save, to shield ourselves, to take care of ourselves and our families. This is a very delicate issue. And I feel at times talking about these issues is like walking on eggshells. Thin ice, very thin. You may offend anyone. Dear brothers and sisters, we're all family here. And we all need to learn. This protection, شو يعني? What does it mean? قوا أنفسكم, protect yourself. If I get into a car, what's my assumption that is happening in the car? There are few assumptions that I take for granted. Number one, first and foremost, that it works, that it drives. But number two, that it's what? It's safe. So the brakes work, all the steering wheel, the engine, everything. Although if you look at what happens in the engine in a car, there's a lot of mechanics and a lot of things happening that any of them, God forbid, if it really goes bad, it could inflict harm and pain. But there's an assumption that things are working well. When I tap on the brakes, if I go a little bit too fast, what happens to me? I try to slow the car. Why do I slow the car? By tapping on the brake. Because I want to maneuver safely on the road. صح ولا لا? Right? And I try to be as safe as possible. My worry is if I skid or do something wrong, if I'm traveling on an icy road, it can slip and it can harm me. So what do? I tap a little bit. I am very careful in my driving. I use a lot of acts of carefulness, and I'm extremely cautious in my driving. Because there's a physical self that might inflict harm. Dear brothers and sisters, in a lot of our lives, we look at direct physical harm as the highest level of harm, and therefore we try to protect at the highest level our physical selves more than anything else. So you will not see us driving in a car that we know the brakes are not working. We get worried. What if it skids? What if it slides? What if it slips? What would happen? The physical harm. So I park. What do? I slow down. I slow down so much. When I drive and maneuver, I'm careful so I don't slip. I'm careful about everything. My awareness is a lot heightened. When I walk into a place and I see fire in it, God forbid, would you say, you know what, fine, I'll just walk in? Would you do that? No one does that. No one does that. What do you see? You see the fire, you step back, you say, I need to protect myself to walk in. You ask automatically, you try to engage your mind in questioning what kind of gear should I put on myself to protect myself before I go in. معي so far? If I'm driving on a mountain, on a mountainous road, and there's a valley to my right, do I drive right close to the edge, or do I drive somewhere where it's safe? So if God forbid something happens, I don't slip off of the mountain into the valley. This protection, this wiqaya is key. But let's elevate it from the physical protection to the emotional and intellectual or mental protection, dear brothers and sisters. Shoya, give me your undivided attention. A lot of our brothers and sisters, to them raising a family is doing what? Raising a family is feeding the kids, feeding the family members, and providing a roof over their heads, a place to sleep, and giving them the essentials, paying for their schools, providing a good housing, getting good food, sending them vacations. To them, this is what? Providing sustenance. Let me ask you, you are either married and have children, or inshallah on the hoping to get married and have children. How do you provide your children protection? Do you provide protection by thinking the safety of the house? Would you walk into the house? Would you provide your children? Answer this, truly answer it. You have a house, you know the ceiling and the roof of the house is very weak and is going to collapse any second. The inspector comes out and says, this roof is going to collapse. Would you accept sleeping in the house or not? Would you or not? Would you accept your children sleeping in the house or not? No. If something happens to your children and God forbid, the ceiling and the roof collapses on them and God forbid, they die. Who's held responsible knowing you could have took them to a more safer house? Who's held responsible? You are held responsible. طيب, let me ask you. That's on the physical level. When we allow our children to freely watch what they want to watch without being supervised, what kind of protection are we providing their mental aspect, and what kind of gateway are we becoming to filter these ideas? The protection here, Allah is not only saying on the physical level, but on the mental and emotional level. Shwaya, I want you to be patient with me tonight. I want to dig deeper. How many of us care about the details of what goes in the minds of the children? And by the way, it's not only the basics, the essentials. There are so many intangibles. I see usually when two individuals want to start a family. You know what is the biggest thing? What I look for when they come and ask me for counseling or ask me for help what do they have in common? Most of the marriages start because of physical attraction. And the most basic and elementary state that they both share on principles. He's a Muslim, she's a Muslim. He's good, she's good. طب شو يعني he's good and she's good? You need to dig deeper. Understand the value systems these individuals, they both have. If I want to look for a spouse, I need to look at her value system. What is it that she truly likes? What is it that he truly likes? What is it that he considers a priority? What is it that he's not willing to break? What is that she's not willing to break? There are things we don't realize until we face it. How he or she behaves in certain things. When it comes to their private life, how do they talk? Do they use foul language? طيب, if you accept your spouse to use foul language, what kind of protection are you providing your children, even if he or she uses words that we may see, oh, it's عادي. شو هالعادي? Why it's عادي? Where is their value system? You have some parents come to me and they talk. Look at her, look at him. And when they talk, they fight. And when they fight, they use foul language against each other. What does the children learn? How to use foul language against their parents. And they are raised on this principle. When you deal with your spouse, how you deal with her? Do you respect her? Do you show her the utmost respect, or do you talk down to her? This is what your children are learning. What kind of protection are you providing them, dear brothers and sisters? There's a lot of stuff, and we call it aib. It's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. What is this inappropriate? Is it appropriate for a male or a female to act this way, to talk this way, to dress this way, to be out at this time, to behave in such a way? When you sit, when you laugh, do you laugh in public? When you laugh in public, it's appropriate or not? Where do you see? See, Islam teaches us a set of values that a lot of us are still learning them. A lot of us, Islam teaches us how to even sit down, how to sit appropriately. When you marry a spouse, you need to look at these intangibles, these small things. Imagine, and I remember, alhamdulillah, in front of my parents, I never dared ever to sit and cross my legs. In front of my parents, I can't. Maybe it's aib. It's not haram. It's aib. Then I see someone coming and crossing, I cringe. It's not wrong in their value system, but he crossed the line in my value system. He's not doing haram. But in my value system, it's shut down. I just cannot. It's a show of respect in my value system to my parents, to my father and mother. There, we extend our legs and sit down with our parents in front of us. What is this? You don't extend your leg like that. Aib. In front of your parents? This is your mother, your father. The highest level of respect. When they walk into the room, do you stand up? Do you stand up or not? Why do I stand up? They're your parents. Show respect. Stand up. Stand up. Ma'ad. They say to Ma'ad, you have complex. No, Habibi, I don't have complex. I have values. I'm respectful. You lack it. I don't. The thing is, why do we teach our children all this? When you have all these things embedded in your children, they'll think a million times before they cross a line. You're prepping them with discipline to the outside world. Wallah, I wait for my father and mother to serve me the food. What is this? Get on your feet and you do your things yourself. These are all things. It's a form of building and protecting. How do you build protection? How do you protect your kids? It's in these little things. How you talk to them, how you behave in front of them, how you tell them aib ma bisir. But you know what? You lead by example. You don't say aib and you do the aib. You don't say no and you do the no. It's not easy. Raising children is not easy. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, Al-Imam salamullahi ta'ala alayhi, Al-Imam alayhi salam, Rasul Allah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, look at their history, look at what they did, look at their ethics, how they taught us, how they gave us. They taught us so much. We need to look at these little details. How they talk to each other. I sit down sometimes with this couple, they are yelling at each other. Like, why are you yelling? I don't get it. They can listen, you can hear each other. And then he talks to her, no, this is how we talk. It's wrong. That's disrespectful. The child, it grows with this. Al-wiqaya that God is talking about, yourselves and your families, is in these little things. I don't allow my children just to go anywhere they want. I need to protect them. I need to put, when I want to put some protection in the house from fire, I put a lot of money. I put some good material. I take the time and put the effort in building this house. Mish hek hayallah. No. Why? If it collapses, it kills people's physical bodies. It inflicts harm. And when you don't take care of the hearts, it collapses the house too. And it's even worse. You know why? It has implications on their lives to come forever. And it's your fault. When you don't tell your child, don't do this, don't go there, haram, ma bijuz, oh man, too many rules. You need to do it in a nice way. You need to parenting is not easy. It's not easy at all. And that's why when you see the amount of time and effort the parent put on us, my God, I need to worship the grounds they walk on. Don't wait until you lose them and you feel sorry why you didn't take care of them. Dear brothers and sisters, protection is important. And how do you protect? You protect the mind. إذ قال لقمان لابنه وهو يعظه. Luqman brought his child and he was giving an advice. He was protecting him. What? يا بني. Look at the first thing he told him. لا تشرك بالله بالله عليكم. By God, I want to ask you, how many of us sat our children down and told our children, son, daughter, I don't want you to ever associate with Allah. شو يعني بابا? شو يعني ماما؟ يعني I want you to always think of Allah Azza wa Jal. He is there all the time. He sees you even if you don't see Him. What are you putting immunity there? The kind of protection that your child, whether you're around or not, he knows Allah is around. Allah is watching him or her. You're creating an immunity system that is stronger, better than any kind of monitoring or surveying system, dear brothers and sisters. This is important. Nothing substitutes time with your children. Hold their hands. I remember the first time my dad, may God bless his soul, took me to a majlis. I was like less than maybe 4 years old. The one I remember. I'm sure he took me before that. Well, I don't know, maybe my mother, but I don't know him. But when he walked me in, what he did, I still remember it. It was doing sha'air al-Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And the beauty, it wasn't only him. I still remember I was holding like in the corner, just, he told me with my uncle, just stay here. They went and they were doing latum. And the guy in the middle, the guy who is responsible for he came and he goes, I was like a kid, 4 or 5 years old. I don't remember. He goes, Sayyid. He looks at me. What are you doing here sitting on the side? I panicked. I'm like, I don't know. He goes, this is your majlis of your grandfather, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I swear, اتفضل Sayyid, اتفضل. And he made the way and I'm like, oh. Put me right in the middle with few of the children, like it was like maybe 10 or 15 of us. And the way he dealt with us, that we are champions, we are heroes. We are doing something for our Imam. And he was looking everyone around us on the outside circle like was looking at us with pride. From there and then they were planting the love of our Imam. They were protecting us. They were planting that protection, that immunity. The echo of the word Hussein echoed in our hearts, in our minds. Never ever did it leave. Dear brothers and sisters, this is what we need to teach our kids. Embed the love of Ahlul Bayt in them. You protect them forever. The love of Allah Azza wa Jal. I remember when my mother, may God protect her, I was struggling with some recitation and reading. I was making mistakes. She would stay hours and hours. May Allah protect her. And every time she was about to fall asleep, Mom, go to sleep. No, I'm still awake. And she would stay up. Sometimes it's like the amount of time they put in, loving, caring, wanting the best for us. That's the protection. And when we do wrong, come on, let me explain to you why. Don't do this. Dear brothers and sisters, nowadays, احنا عندنا a lot of this liberal tendency, just do whatever you see right. No. As a community, we have a duty towards each other, enjoining good and forbidding evil. When I see a brother or a sister doing wrong, when I see them, wal'iyadu billah, maybe outside doing things inappropriately, no, I need to go and give them an advice in the best way. When I see something happening wrong, at least if I cannot change it physically or tell them, at least in my heart, I need to say, I don't agree with it. We came to a point, even the haram, things we do wrong, we have to accept it. لا خلينا شو بنعمل. Why? protect ourselves. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect ourselves, and it's not hard. I have a lot of faith in all of us. We may have to repeat it once and twice and thrice and push, but we'll all change. We'll all be better, inshallah. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal for guidance, because I know your guidance is my guidance. I benefit from you. I learn from you. I remind myself when I make a lot of mistakes. I'm not here telling you someone is better than anyone else. But let's not slip together. When I remember myself, yesterday what did we do? All the way to the morning. We're sitting asking Allah, reset our lives. We have grown up on loving and caring for things that are of no value. Our value system became wrong. I care about what car I drive. Who cares? Care about your religion, care about your value system, your thinking, care about your knowledge. This is what matters. Hisham ibn Hakam one of the disciples of Imam Sadiq Islam used to travel. He was a young man. He used to travel for 2 weeks from Medina to Kufa to go ask Imam Sadiq Islam a question and then go back. To pick up, we have this, we have that, and listen, I don't want to. Why? Dear brothers and sisters, learning. Bring your children with you. Let them sit down, let them learn, let them see the stuff. And it's okay, not everything we do is right, and if something is wrong, nice nudge people, say, you know what, there's a better way to do it. We grow together, we thrive together, we learn a value system together. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal forgiveness and guidance, and the last of our prayers, and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa sallallahu ala rasulihi Muhammad wa ala ali baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli